It's Sunday morning with Mark Sainsbury.
It's business time here on Radio Live Sunday mornings, and of course our the good Dr. Harold Hillman, leadership coach, author, of course, of the book The Imposter Syndrome. And I think I said to this last week, Harold, but I'll just remind our listeners again. I had some friends of mine actually didn't know I knew you.
Right.
Which made me wonder why they weren't listening to my show in the morning. But anyway, it said, "Oh, you got to read this book. You got to read this book," and it was your book. So you haven't just made it up.
Yes, the imposter syndrome. A lot of folks have read it, Mark, so I'm glad it's resonating with people.
Good. Hey, listen, this morning we're talking about whether we overplay the fitting in and underplay the standing out. I mean, it's survival mechanism, isn't it, just to fit in? You know, don't put your head above the parapet.
It is a bit of a survival mechanism, and I think sometimes we forget that when new people are coming into the organization. Sometimes we hire new people because we say that they have fresh thinking. They aren't going to be locked into the same paradigms, and we want people to come in to challenge the status quo thinking. But that's easier said than done for the average person, Mark. I think sometimes managers and business leaders seem to forget that a new person coming into a company is not unlike an adoptive kid who's coming into a new family, and when we welcome that person in, we say, hey, make yourself at home and be comfortable. But within 2 or 3 days, that person gets a real sense that there are some rules around here that I've got to follow. And sometimes we lose perspective on the fact that new people are beginning to turn their voices down or begin to play it a little bit safer because they get the sense that they're going to get in trouble, or it's not going to go well if in fact they push against some of that social order.
Is there an advantage for a business, Harold, for someone to come in and mix it up and challenge the status quo?
Well, it is. It's new. Remember that newcomers can see what we can't see, those of us who are already in the business, because we've become immersed in the day-to-day. So it's all subliminal for most of us. But a new person coming into your team or a new person coming into the company, they have fresh eyes and they have fresh ears. And we need to actively, I recommend to to team leaders with people who are coming new to their team, I say to them, download their thinking, actively put it on the table where they have a chance to tell you what strikes them as interesting or unique or different or odd, things that we can't see because we're already in it. We don't do that enough with our newcomers, and by the time we do give them a voice at the table, they have, they're one of us now. They can't see it anymore. So I think we need to download their thinking actively and do it sooner, Mark.
So that's from the management side. What if you're the person who has just blended in? You might have arrived there with a hiss and a roar and you're going to make your mark and you think, oh, jeepers, I think I might just keep my hair. So you've just submerged yourself within the existing culture. Can you reinvent yourself and recharge yourself?
That is therein lies the whole sort of conscience, the whole thing around conscience. For a lot of people who have fit in and are making decent salaries and have built their lifestyle around these salaries, and those salaries subtly say, just sort of keep the noise down, don't cause too much commotion. And sometimes very intelligent, capable people have become entrapped in this dilemma where, hey, I'm quieter than I should be. I'm sitting on things that I know are important. And everybody's got to make a decision, Mark, in terms of, that's where it goes to character and that's where it goes to conscience. And I think all of us may have been there. If you've lived long enough, you've had that dilemma to struggle with at some point.
Okay. Do you have any, if you decided, rightio, enough of this, I'm going to shake off this just sitting there, just out of the, just below the horizon. Yeah. I want to stand out.
Yeah.
What are some tips on how you can do it without, making a dick of yourself, I guess.
That's right. So it is about the connection, and it is about people understanding that when you're making suggestions about something that we can do differently or better, or that type of thing, that you're not rejecting them. Sometimes people's egos and attitudes and self-esteem are wrapped up in a certain way of doing things, and so you just have to be mindful that when you are talking about doing something different, it's not dishonoring the person or disrespecting the person. That's a careful thing to do. And then it's also about just sort of lighting a little bit more of a fire under the way things currently are. Sometimes we get so comfortable, in our own ways of thinking about things, and sometimes it helps to just put a little bit of a fire under the team, present them with something compelling about if we don't change or if we don't do. So make a bit of a business case that puts more power behind your suggestions. It feels like you've done your homework, that you're thinking one or two steps ahead. The team typically will appreciate that if the person brings some credibility to their proposal.
So there you go. You don't need to be the shrinking violet. You don't need just to play it safe and sit on the safe old salary. do what the good doctor says, but make a case. Hey, good on you, Harold. Great.
All right, Mark.
Great to have you with us. And look, if you want to check out anything to do with Harold, go to his website, www.sigmoidcurve.com. Sigmoid, that's SIGMOID curve.com. We can always follow Harold on Twitter at Dr. Harold Hillman. Talk to you next week, Harold.
All right, Mark.